Jury selection has begun in a Minot murder trial. Joe Skrzycki joins us now from the Ward County Courthouse with more. Hey, Joe.
Good afternoon, Mark. 30-year-old Richie Wilder Jr. is set to stand trial this week in North Central District Court. Now, he's accused of killing his ex-wife, Angela Wilder, in her Northwest Minot home last November. The police arrested Richie Wilder nearly a month after Angela's death, following an investigation of the evidence at the state crime lab. Now, the attorneys are planning on going through the jury selection process today with two separate pools of potential jurors. One actually came in this morning. They're going through the process right now. And the second pool of potential jurors will come in at some point this afternoon. This jury selection process is expected to take up much of today, if not all of today. Richie Wilder faces the chance of life in prison without parole if he's convicted. And we're going to have coverage of this trial throughout this week and next. Mark?
Joe Skrzycki live at the Minot Courthouse. Thank you.
Good evening. Following a full day of jury selection yesterday, the state launched its case against Richie Wilder today.
Wilder is accused of killing his ex-wife Angela Wilder last November.
Now, during today's emotional testimony, it was revealed that Angela had been pregnant when she was stabbed to death. A parade of police officers, scientists, and doctors testified Tuesday to the events of November 13, 2015, and the discovery of Angela Wilder's body.
She was laying face up with her feet at the feet of the bed. Her eyes appeared to be partially open. She was covered in blood.
A forensic analyst with the state crime lab said a blood stain found in a car belonging to Richie Wilder's family matched the DNA of Angela, and a DNA test of her right hand finger clippings matched Richie.
The major Y chromosomal profile matches the Y chromosomal profile developed from the known sample from Richie Wilder.
State medical examiner William Massello told the jury that Wilder, who was less than 2 months pregnant at the time of her death, received more than 40 stab wounds to the face, neck, and chest, several of which were fatal, and she died within moments.
When you say very quickly, what kind of time are we?
Minutes.
Okay.
And you can also, because veins can be under negative pressure, you can get air into the heart.
But perhaps the most compelling testimony of the day came from Angela Wilder's on and off boyfriend, Christopher Jackson, who left for work the day before and never saw her alive again.
Have you been able to work since this happened?
No.
Was Angela the love of your life?
I believe so.
Were you looking forward to a future with her?
Yeah.
Testimony continues Wednesday in Minot. Wilder faces the chance of life in prison without parole if he's convicted.
Good evening. A man accused of murdering his ex-wife in Minot last year says her boyfriend killed her, not him.
Richie Wilder is accused of murdering Angela Wilder last November. Earlier this year, Wilder pointed the finger at her boyfriend, saying he lured Wilder into a child custody scheme. I was in the courtroom for today's developments. State prosecutors played hours of police interviews in the Richie Wilder case, showing the jury footage of two separate interviews where investigators questioned Wilder following the murder of his ex-wife Angela, the first just hours after she died.
And I'll tell you, Angela's dead. Yeah. And the only person that we think could have something to do with this, from the information that we've gathered so far, is you.
Less than a month later, police arrested Wilder and charged him with Angela's murder. In March, Wilder and his attorney Carrie Rosenquist met with investigators, and Wilder told them that Jackson had hatched a child custody scheme and told Wilder if they worked together to sneak into Angela's house and catch her in an act of infidelity, they could use that to gain custody of the children. Wilder claimed that he picked Jackson up from his overnight shift at Walmart and drove to Angela's home. But when they arrived, he said Jackson stabbed her to death and then threatened to kill Richie and his current family if he told.
He just kept stabbing her. I don't know what the you doing, man? They touched her neck with the pulse, because she was kind of like, and there was just blood everywhere.
But the investigators didn't buy Richie's version of what happened.
What you're telling us does not fit, because I know that Chris did not leave Walmart during the hours that you say that he did.
Assistant State's Attorney Kelly Dillon showed the jurors dozens of surveillance images the night of Angela's death, indicating Jackson never left his job.
Based on your review of 9.5 hours of video, multiple cameras, did you ever see Chris Jackson leave the Walmart grounds? No.
The state is expected to wrap up its case Thursday morning. Wilder faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole if convicted. Good evening. A former Ward County Jail inmate says a Minot murder suspect confessed to him while they were both in custody.
The inmate told the jury today that Richie Wilder Jr. admitted to murdering his ex-wife while they were both in jail.
I was in the courtroom as the state wrapped up its case against Wilder. In the final day of testimony in the Richie Wilder murder trial, only 2 witnesses took the stand, but their testimonies revealed plenty of information. Jeremiah Tallman, a former inmate of the Ward County Jail, told the court he spent 10 days with Wilder in the drunk tank. Now, during that time, Tallman said he struck a chord with Wilder when he revealed he had been acquitted of a murder charge in 2011 by reason of self-defense. Wilder then admitted to Tallman to driving to Angela Wilder's home in the middle of the night, stabbing her repeatedly, and then fleeing the scene and ditching the evidence.
He parked by the church, went in the back door, stabbed the hell out of her, drove up 16th, and that he chucked the knife and went back home, said he ditched his clothes in a dumpster by his apartment.
Tallman said that Wilder never told him his motive, but said concern for his children led to his actions.
Over the course of talking to him for several days, he had revealed that he was mad about, I guess they'd had an ongoing custody dispute. He believed that either she had abused the children or that she had allowed the children to be abused.
Minot police investigator Krista Mattice also took the stand for the second time in the trial. Mattice discussed her investigations into phone records, including a call Wilder made from the Ward County Jail to his current wife, Cynthia. Wilder tells her Angela had never been inside their Honda Pilot, where investigators found Angela's DNA on a blood spot.
They said the red substance was DNA.
Crazy.
After the state rested their case, the defense did not call any witnesses to the stand. The attorneys will give their closing arguments tomorrow morning. Tallman, who has at least 2 current open felony cases, said that the state did not guarantee him anything for his testimony. Wilder faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole if convicted.
I have 3 grandchildren who have lost their mother and their father.
Good evening. An emotional day in North Central District Court.
This afternoon, the jury convicted Richie Wilder of murdering his ex-wife Angela in her Northwest Minot home last November.
I was in the courthouse today as both families shared their reactions to the verdict.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action to find the defendant, Richie Edwin Wilder Jr., guilty of the crime of murder.
It took the jury of 6 men and 6 women less than an hour to convict Richie Wilder of Angela Wilder's murder. In her closing argument, Deputy State's Attorney Kelly Dillon reiterated a week's worth of evidence, from surveillance images to the blood stain in the car and Richie's DNA found in Angela's finger clippings.
He left that house, Angela Wilder's house, on November 13th with Angela's blood on his hands. He still has Angela's blood on his hands.
Wilder's attorney Carrie Rosenquist denied the credibility of testimony from Thursday, where a former jail inmate claimed that Wilder admitted to him to killing Angela.
After a year being locked up, waiting for a trial of this magnitude, are you going to tell anybody that you stabbed the hell out of the person whose murder trial that you're standing for? No.
But the jury sided with Dillon, who brought to light a tense email back and forth between Richie and Angela leading up to her death.
Even the day before she's murdered, she sent him an article about being a narcissistic father.
Angela's mother, Linda, said God would judge Richie for his actions, and she showed remorse for both families.
I lost my daughter last year, and now they're going to lose their son. It just breaks my heart that any of this happened.
Richie's current wife, Cynthia, remained resolute in her husband's innocence.
He's a good man. He's a good husband. He would never do anything that would hurt his kids. I stand by him.
She said she will continue to focus on raising their children.
I am what the kids have now. They've been with me for the past year, and they will continue to be with me.
Judge Gary Lee ordered a psychological evaluation for Wilder, who will be sentenced March 16th and faces a possible life sentence.
A side note on today's verdict, because of the institution of Marsy's Law beginning next year, the state will have to accommodate for any other victims of the crime to allow them to participate in Wilder's sentencing in March. Angela Wilder would have turned 31 this past September.